SpongeBob SquarePants Mysteries Find a Missing Star. Chapter 8. My partner seemed pretty worked up. He was more upset than a kid at a canceled carnival. Sure, Patrick had borrowed some of his stuff. Maybe he'd held on to it a little too long. But that's all it was. Stuff. Squidward could always run over to Bargain Mart and pick up a replacement. Easy. But the one thing it couldn't replace? A best friend. While Squidward was running around Patrick's place reclaiming his private property, I needed to search for clues. That was why we'd come to Patrick's joint in the first place. SpongeBob carefully went over the whole house trying to spot something out of the ordinary. Something that might hint at where Patrick had disappeared to. Next to Patrick's pillow, he found something. An appointment book. Squidward! He cried excitedly. Look at this! Patrick's appointment book!
Patrick has appointments? Squidward asked. Since when? SpongeBob shrugged.
I don't know. I'm surprised too. Let's see if anything's written down for yesterday.
He flipped through the pages of the small notebook until he found the entry for the day before. The day Patrick went missing.
Here it is. It says, walk SpongeBob to work. Do that thing I've always wanted to do. Meet SpongeBob after work.
SpongeBob looked up from the page frustrated.
If only he'd been a little more specific. What was the thing he'd always wanted to do?
Squidward's arms were full of all of his possessions. Think, SpongeBob, he urged. You're his best friend. If anyone would know, you would. What does Patrick like to do, besides hoard my belongings? Wrinkling his brow, SpongeBob thought hard. When SpongeBob and Squidward walked into Goofy Goober's ice cream party boat, the place seemed unusually quiet. No parties, no music, no screaming kids. Maybe it was just that time of day, on a slow day of the week, but now was a good time to go in and ask questions. Putting on his toughest face, SpongeBob pushed his fedora forward, shoved his hands deep in the pockets of his trench coat, and walked up to the employee working behind the counter. He had his back to SpongeBob. Dressed in a big peanut costume, he was too busy washing ice cream scoops to notice SpongeBob's and Squidward's approach. Trying to make his voice sound as deep as possible, Squidward said, Say, buddy, what's a guy gotta do to get some service around here? The employee, whose name tag identified him as Toby, turned around and smiled. Oh, sorry, sir, he said cheerfully, setting down a clean scoop. I didn't hear you come in. What can I get for you? Would you like a free sample of our newest flavor, Sargassum Snickerdoodle? He reached for a sample spoon.
Ooh, yes, please!
SpongeBob blurted out, thrilled. Squidward glared at him. SpongeBob controlled his excitement, remembering he was a cool private eye.
We're not here for ice cream, pal.
You're not? Toby asked, looking confused. That's pretty much all we sell. Oh, wait! We just got in some gelato! How about that? We're looking for information, mister, not some fattening, unhealthy dessert, Squidward chimed in. Setting the sample spoon back in the container, Toby asked, What kind of information? Do you need to talk to the manager?
Depends, SpongeBob said. Were you working here yesterday, Toby?
Toby nodded. And did you happen to notice if this individual came into the shop? Squidward asked, holding up a picture of Patrick. It wasn't a great picture since it was taken while Patrick was riding a roller coaster, and the force of the plummeting car distorted his face. But it was the only picture of Patrick they could find on short notice. Toby leaned forward and squinted at the picture. Yeah, he said, slowly nodding. He was in here. Ordered a double Kelpie Brickle Sunday Delight with extra delight. SpongeBob couldn't help but smile. This was a break in the case. They now knew at least one place that Patrick had visited on the day he went missing. But SpongeBob wiped the smile off his face and resumed his line of hard-boiled questioning.
Okay, that's swell, Toby. You're doing great. Now think hard. When the guy was done eating his double kelpie brickle sundae delight with extra delight, did he say anything about where he was going next after he left the Goofy Goober?
Toby thought hard, then he shook his head. No, not to me he didn't. SpongeBob felt disappointed, and it showed. But he might have told her, Toby continued. He nodded his big peanut-costumed head toward a girl fish sitting at a table in the corner by herself, sipping a soda through a curly straw. She was beautiful, with long blonde hair that fell across the right side of her face, hiding one of her deep blue eyes.
Thanks, Toby. You've been a big help. You can get back to your scooping.
SpongeBob started across the ice cream parlor toward the girl, but Squidward grabbed his arm, stopping him. Wait a minute, SpongeBob, he said. Don't you think I should handle this? After all, I'm the one who's known to be smooth with the ladies. He straightened his tie and tried to pull his hat farther down on his head, but it popped right back up.
Forget it, Squids, SpongeBob said. We're looking for my pal, and this gang could have just the scoop we're looking for. So I'll ask the question, see?
Okay, fine, tough guy, Squidward said, rolling his eyes. But stop giving me different names.
You got it, Squidzo!
Turning up the collar of his trench coat, SpongeBob walked over to the beautiful fish's table. She noticed him turning up his collar and said, What's the matter, fella? You cold?
Why wouldn't I be? SpongeBob replied. It's an ice cream parlor. They keep it nice and cold so the merchandise don't melt. But to answer your question, no, I'm not cold. I'm cool.
He smiled a cool smile and winked. Looking impressed by his smooth delivery, the girl said, Well, maybe you better sit down, Buster. She patted the seat of the other chair at her table.
Maybe I'd better,
he sat. So what's your name?
SpongeBob SquarePants, Private Eye.
She raised an eyebrow, the left one, the one not hidden by her shining golden hair. Oh, detective, huh? Working on a case?
Could be.
What kind of a case? SpongeBob gave her a hard stare.
I'll ask the questions here, sister.
I'm not your sister, she retorted. And maybe I'm not interested in answering any questions. She finished her soda with a loud slurp. Stay tuned for Chapter 9, coming up soon.